All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So at this point, let's try the login thing. So we want to log in. So I'm going to click login here, and there we go. So let's design things to work well here. If I click login, nothing happens, it just refreshes. So let's go and check out that page. So for now, I'm going to go to functions, for example. Or before I do that, let me go to the auth and login page. Now keep in mind that we did some of these things in the sign up page. Let's see here. For example, the error correction here we did. So what I will do is go to the sign up view, and I will copy some of these things. So I'm just copying this part that shows us an error and go to the login view and just paste that over here. And of course I will change this username to email. Okay, so I will do the same on password here, where we'll see username or wrong password here. So password, there we go. So that's about it. Also we want maybe to show this red color when we have an error. So in the form control here, I'm just going to copy this part up to the end of the PHP question mark. So right here on form control for email, I'll paste that, and then of course I will change this to email. I'll also do the same thing, form control on password, space, paste, and then add password here. Okay, so very good. Save this, and we have ourselves a good deal here. So let's go to the login controller and let's do something here. Now, this is pretty similar to this, so I'm just going to copy everything from the sign up, and then we can edit what we don't want. So paste like so. So of course, request method, row, I don't need to set any of these, so remove. The errors will go to validate. Now we're trying to validate this, but instead of doing this, we want to instead authenticate, right? So what we will do is we want to read from the database first of all. So we're not going to insert here. We'll create another function called where, and let me remove this. If not, empty errors. This should not even be a thing, so let's do this. So what I want to be able to do is read information from the database using what was supplied. So row is going to be equal to, I'll create a function called where, and then the where function will take in two params. So an array here of information that you need to match, and then the table that you want to read from. So in this case, I want to match information, which is the email. So that's all I need. So I'm going to put that email and then a pointer, and then that email will come from the post variable email like this. So what I've done here is created an array. So for you to see this a little bit clearer, I will do this and call and create an array. Let me just call it AAR like this for simplicity, and I'll say email is equal to, and then I will put the post email like this. So just by doing this, I've created an array called email, an array location. The array is called AAR, and I've added email there, and I've put the email from the post. If you want to be very clear, you can create the email by saying is equal to array like this, but I rarely do this at all because it just adds extra code that I don't need. So I can easily just do that. and then I'll add AAR here like so. Okay, so created the email and added it here, so the array, sorry. So I could duplicate here and create the password as well, but I don't need the password when reading from the database, so I'll leave it at that. Now this is exactly the same as doing this and saying email, and then putting an arrow and putting in the post email there like this. So this is the same as this, only it's the same as doing this. Okay, same thing. So here I've created an array called AR and given it these values. Same thing here, same thing, which means if we can put this, instead of having to set it there, we can simply move this thing right here like this, which is what I had done at first. So that's why. So when you see that, don't get surprised what's going on. This is just an array. When you see brackets like this, it's an array being created. Okay, so once I do this, I should be able to get a row. Now, if this row is valid, so I'm just going to say if I return something from here, so just put the whole thing in an if statement. Now, the reason this if statement will work like this is because if there's no result, this will return false, meaning this if statement will be false. But if it returns anything else apart from false, then the if statement will be true, and so we can go in here. Now, if things did not go as planned, we will put an else statement here and then submit something to error. So I'll say errors email is equal to wrong email like this. Okay, so I don't need this anymore. I can remove it. But when we are in here, we need now to confirm the password. Yes. So let me go back to my thing here. So you see there's a password in here and it's not hashed. So it's a good idea to hash your passwords, though. Yeah, I guess you can hash them so that your employees, even though they see the table, they will not know what password somebody is using, because sometimes people tend to use the same passwords for different websites. So that could be a security risk. So it's a good idea to hash them, but this is not hashed. So for now, we're going to ignore that part. So I'm going to copy this and paste here and say row. We want to check if row password. Wait a second, did we use objects or associative arrays when, okay, so it's associative arrays, so that's good. So if row password is equal to the password that was sent through the post variable, which is what the user submitted, if these two are the same, let's put a triple equal sign. If these are exactly identical, then we can say authenticate this user. And what are we going to authenticate? That row that we gave. Good. And then we can redirect to, this is the login page, right? So let's move this redirect and redirect that to the home page for now. We'll change that to profile or something. Okay, but there's always a but. So I will paste an else here like so, because it's possible that the passwords do not match. So here we'll just say wrong password, and we will put this in the password section like so. Very good. And then we can send those errors down the line. Now, the only reason this is not going to work here is because we don't have a function called where, and so if we tried to run this, we will definitely get an error. So if I try, it will say call to undefined function where. So this where function does not exist on line 8 of login.php. Okay, so line 8, this where does not exist. So let's create it rather quickly. So we can use the query function here but instead of using that, so there's an insert here. Now in the same way, I want to reconstruct this and create my own. So I'm going to duplicate the insert. That way I can create a where version. Okay, so the where version is for data and table. So good. Now the query will change. So when you are we don't need the allowed columns here, so let's remove that. It's okay. And we don't need to grab, do we need to grab the keys? Yes, we do. So keys is equal to array data, and let's use that instead. So get the keys. Now a select query is always like this: select all from users where, and then you put your where items there. What do you want? Let's say where email is equal to, and then you may have a variable called email like that. And then if you only want one result, it's a good idea to put limit 1 like that, so it doesn't need to suffer looking for more results once it finds one. Then if you want more, you can say and then maybe there's password is equal to, and then you add password there as a variable. So first of all, we remove the limit 1 because we don't know how many results that the user is looking for. And then secondly, we remove the variables and put the full columns because we're going to be using prepared statements. So like this. And then voila, we have a query string that's valid. So here, I'm just going to copy everything up to the where clause. So I will say, let me just put it here. Now the table is the table, so I'm going to say table here. That way this query is not specific to a particular table. So select all from table where. So now let's construct a where clause. So the query here is going to be, we're going to be using keys same manner so that we can have something like this. You see, we're only using the keys, no values here, just email, email, password, password. Same thing. So here where, and then we'll put our where clause, and where the key, we are imploding here. So this key has a separator there, so it's where, let's say email, what's happening here? I think this probably won't work. This may not work at all because key is equal to key. Yeah, let's see, implode. No, maybe this can work after all. So we don't need values, we just need one loop here. So let's remove the brackets and these here, just so we have this implosion going on. So I want to reconstruct this. So for me to reconstruct this, the end here should have an and. This is the section between these guys. So let me put the double and there. Okay, so now I'll have something like where email and password. So let me put a space between these two. So it will be where email and password. So I'm missing this part here. So instead, what I'll do is, instead of that, I need to put this at the beginning of it. So I'm going to put that there. But this email is a key. So I'm going to do this and put a dot to concatenate that. And what do I do? Actually, I don't need to do this. I can just copy key. Oh, wait. These are all the keys, right? Yeah, nah, this is not going to work at all. Okay, so what we'll do here is this instead. Let's make our lives easier. Let's use a for each loop. So for here I'm going to get all the keys, and then keys as key. So I don't really need value and key, because in this case the keys are just numbers, and so I just need keys as key. So here once we loop, we're going to say query plus query dot equals like this, and then we're going to add the particular key, and then put an equal sign, put a full colon, and then add the same key again, and then we'll put an and then space. So what we're constructing is this. So key is equal to key and, which is here. Key is equal to key and then we'll repeat that formula up to the end. But then the last one will have an and equals, which we don't need. So we need to trim that out. So we can easily do that by just saying query is equal to, and say trim. Or instead we can use a regular expression. Let's say preg replace. Now if you're not good with regular expressions, you can just use trim like this, and then you say trim query, and then on the other side you tell it what you want to trim. In our case it's the double and then the space. So it will remove this either at the beginning or at the end of a string. So this works just fine as well. Yeah, I think if we can avoid regular expressions, let's avoid them, because people tend to abuse them and end up not doing what they want to do, or end up creating security problem. Then finally we run a query, and then instead of clean array we use data. So there we go, data. What's happening, data. And so this should be what we return. So I'm going to say return whatever the result of this is. Okay, great. So let's test this out and see what we've got. If I now refresh, resend, unexpected variable keys on line 117 in function. So 117 is right here. So if it says unexpected, then this previous line has no semicolon at the end. That's probably why, but we really don't need this, so just remove it. So let's refresh, resend. Okay, pretty good. Wrong email. So undefined array key email on line 8. So let's look for that in the login page. Line 8, it's telling me it doesn't know post email. Well, that's probably because if we go to our login view, we have no names for these guys. What a pity. So let's put a name here and call this one email, and let's put another name for this other input and call it password. And of course, make sure you get rid of these brackets that get here, and then this type is password because we want to be anonymous when we don't want everybody to see our password when we are signing up or logging in. So let's retry this. Wait, login. Okay, there we go. So wrong email, but let's add a correct email, and oopsie. So it managed to sign us up even with the wrong password. So that is not good at all. Not good. So if raw password is equal to, then we authenticate. But why? This didn't go as planned, did it now? So we did retrieve this data, that's good. But this part here, let's see, raw password, which is from here. Wait a minute. Okay, what I want to do here is just show the row that we got. I want to see why this worked. And let's do a die here. Let me go back and let's try this again. Okay, so array, so this is an array with an item at 0, and then we got our row. But how is this equal to that though? This is very strange. So what I'll do is, to see what it sees, is copy this and use a var dump right here, because var dump will tell me the data type of what I'm looking at. So it will tell me whether it's true or false. So let's try this again, refresh. Oh, so it says undefined key password. Okay, so it doesn't know that key. That's why it was equal to 0, I guess. Undefined on line 11. Password. So why is password unknown? Because here I wrote password, and this one is small letter password. Now this shouldn't work though, because this is a security flaw. If somebody can change this and get themselves signed up, then we have a problem. So let's solve this issue. Let's make sure that in this situation we are not logged in. So back here, it's the row. I have to put a 0 here, which is the first item in the row, because as you can see, it's in the item number 0, which is the first one here. So let's try this again, and we do this. Now that it's still saying that, let's see if it shall authenticate. So, authenticate. Undefined key. Okay, so there it's not working anymore, which is what I like. So let me close that and let's try this again. email@gmail.com, login, and it says wrong password, which is nice. But just like the sign up view, we have a problem with the password thingy. We had to add a class to the input, and I don't remember what class I added here. What did I do? Input group, column 12, right there. So go back to the login view and put column 12 on this. That way it goes to the yeah. Okay, so it gives us an error and it doesn't log us in, which is good. So let me change this to small letter p, and this time let's try it. Still wrong password. Very good, very good. Let's add the real password here and email, and let's try to log in, and it worked. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so let's continue in the next video.